How did a small island nation like Britain come to rule a vast land like India for nearly 2 centuries? The answer begins not with armies, but with trade. This chapter, From Trade to Territory, reveals how the East India Company transformed from simple merchants into rulers of millions. Understanding this journey isn't just about exams, it's about seeing how economic ambition can reshape nations and lives. Let's begin our journey to uncover how a trading company became the master of a subcontinent. For centuries, India's legendary wealth, its cotton, silk, and especially its spices, captivated the imagination of Europe. These goods were not just luxuries, they were essential to European life, driving demand and fueling dreams of fortune. Indian markets bustled with activity, as traders from distant lands came to barter for these prized commodities. Yet, reaching India was no easy feat. Overland trade routes stretched for thousands of miles, crossing deserts and mountains. These journeys were perilous, plagued by bandits, harsh climates, and high costs, making Indian goods rare and expensive in Europe. Everything changed in 1498, when the Portuguese explorer Vasco da Gama navigated a new sea route around Africa to Calicut. This breakthrough opened direct maritime trade between Europe and India, bypassing the old, dangerous land routes. The Portuguese quickly established fortified trading posts along the Indian coast, using their naval power to dominate the seas. Their success inspired other European nations to seek their own fortunes in India. Soon, the Dutch, French, and British followed, each forming powerful trading companies. They built their own settlements and trading houses along India's vast coastline, eager to tap into the subcontinent's riches. Competition among these companies was intense. They vied for the best goods and lowest prices, often resorting to violence. Skirmishes and even small wars broke out as each power tried to outmaneuver the others. Trading posts soon became heavily fortified, guarded by soldiers and bristling with cannons. What began as commerce was quickly turning into open conflict, as trade and military power became inseparable. The stage was set for a much larger struggle, a battle not just for trade, but for control over entire regions of India. The ambitions of Europe's empires would soon reshape the subcontinent. European rivalry and ambition would soon shape the destiny of India, redrawing its map and altering its future forever. And at the heart of this unfolding drama, the British East India Company was about to make its entrance, setting the stage for a new era in Indian history. In the year 1600, Queen Elizabeth I made a momentous decision that would shape the course of global history. She granted a royal charter to a group of English merchants, giving birth to the English East India Company. This charter gave the company exclusive rights to trade with the vast and mysterious lands of the East, opening the door to unimaginable riches and new opportunities for England. But the company's ambitions faced an immediate challenge: the powerful Mughal Empire, which ruled over most of India at the time. Gaining access to these lucrative markets was not simply a matter of sailing across the seas. It required diplomacy, patience, and a deep understanding of local customs and politics. After years of persistent negotiation and careful maneuvering, the company finally achieved a breakthrough. Sir Thomas Roe, the English ambassador, secured a royal farman from Emperor Jahangir. This official decree allowed the English to establish trading posts known as factories in the bustling port city of Surat and eventually in other key locations across India. Strategic coastal cities like Madras, Bombay, and Calcutta soon became vital strongholds for the company. These ports were not just centers of commerce, but also gateways for English influence to spread deeper into the Indian subcontinent. The company's fortunes soared as Indian textiles, spices, and other exotic goods flooded European markets, fetching high prices and fueling England's appetite for luxury. However, the company faced a major obstacle. British goods found little demand in India, making it difficult to balance trade. To pay for these coveted Indian products, The company was forced to export vast amounts of gold and silver, leading to a significant outflow of precious metals from Britain and causing concern among English financiers and politicians. As the company's presence grew, it began to fortify its settlements, building strongholds that would protect its interests and assert its power. These fortified outposts became the foundation for a much deeper involvement in Indian affairs, both commercial and political. What began as a quest for trade soon evolved into something far greater. The seeds of political ambition were sown, and the stage was set for the company to play a decisive role in the destiny of India. By the mid-1700s, the Mughal Empire was weakening, and Bengal's Nawabs tried to limit European power. Tensions peaked when Siraj-ud-Dowlah, the new Nawab, clashed with the company over taxes and fortifications. After Siraj seized Calcutta, Robert Clive led a small British force to retake it. Clive secretly allied with Mir Jafar, promising him the throne in exchange for betrayal. At the Battle of Plassey in 1757, Mir Jafar's troops stood aside, sealing Siraj's defeat. The British victory was won by conspiracy, not military might. Plassey marked the first time the company overthrew an Indian ruler and installed its own puppet. The path to political power was now open. After Plassey, the company controlled Bengal through puppet Nawabs, extracting wealth and tightening its grip. When Mir Qasim, a more independent Nawab, resisted company dominance, conflict erupted. Mir Qasim allied with the Nawab of Awadh and the Mughal Emperor, challenging the British. The decisive Battle of Buxar in 1764 saw the company's disciplined army defeat this powerful alliance. Unlike Plassey, Buxar was a true military victory, cementing British supremacy in northern India. Defeating the Mughal Emperor gave the company immense prestige and legitimacy. The company was no longer just a trader, it was now a dominant political and military force. The conquest of territory had truly begun. The Treaty of Allahabad in 1765 marked a turning point in Indian history. By granting the East India Company the Diwani, the right to collect revenue in Bengal, Bihar and Orissa, the Mughal Emperor effectively handed over the economic heartland of India to foreign traders. This single act set the stage for a dramatic transformation, as the company now wielded unprecedented financial power in the subcontinent. With coffers overflowing from Indian wealth, the company rapidly expanded its influence. It was no longer just a trading entity, it became a political force, using a blend of diplomacy, cunning negotiation, and, when necessary, brute military strength to extend its reach into new territories. The subsidiary alliance system, introduced by Lord Wellesley, forced Indian rulers into submission. They were compelled to accept British troops and residents in their courts, effectively surrendering their independence and autonomy. Many rulers found themselves mere puppets, their decisions dictated by company officials. The doctrine of lapse, another controversial policy, allowed the company to annex any princely state where the ruler died without a direct male heir. This policy disregarded traditional Indian customs and infuriated many royal families, who saw their ancestral lands and titles slipping away. Resistance was fierce. Major wars erupted as powerful kingdoms, like Mysore under Tipu Sultan and the Marathas, fought desperately to defend their sovereignty. These conflicts were brutal and costly, but ultimately, the company's superior resources and tactics prevailed. By 1818, after decades of conflict and political maneuvering, the company had crushed its main rivals. Its authority now stretched over most of India, from the fertile plains of the Ganges to the Deccan Plateau. This expansion was not accidental. It was driven by a calculated mix of shrewd policies, relentless ambition, and overwhelming military might. The company's leaders were determined to dominate, and they stopped at nothing to achieve their goals. As Indian rulers lost their power and influence, the company's rule spread like a web across the subcontinent. Ancient dynasties faded, and a new order emerged, one that placed British interests above all else. The British were no longer outsiders. They had become the new masters of India, reshaping its politics, society, and economy to serve their own ends. The transformation was profound. In just a few decades, the East India Company had evolved from humble traders to the undisputed rulers of a vast and diverse land. Ruling a vast land required more than soldiers. The company needed a new administrative system. Governor-General Warren Hastings reformed the judiciary, introducing civil and criminal courts supervised by British officials. Laws were codified in English to ensure uniformity, sidelining traditional interpretations. The company built a powerful army of Indian sepoys, trained in European warfare, making British control possible. A new civil service was created to govern districts and collect revenue, with high salaries to curb corruption. However, Indians were excluded from top posts, reinforcing British dominance. The company's administration was efficient but deeply unequal. These systems laid the foundation for colonial rule. British power was now embedded in every aspect of Indian governance. British expansion devastated India's traditional rulers, stripping them of power and wealth. Courts lost their patronage of arts and crafts, leading to cultural decline. Disbanded soldiers faced unemployment, fueling unrest. The company's harsh revenue policies ruined zamindars and peasants, causing debt and landlessness. Yet, a new urban middle class emerged, educated in Western ways and working with the British. This class would later lead reform and independence movements. The company's rule brought hardship, but also sowed the seeds of change. The East India Company's rise from traders to rulers is a lesson in how economic ambition can reshape history. Key events, Plassey, Buxar, the Diwani, and British policies, are more than exam facts. They reveal the mechanics of power. This story explains the roots of colonial rule and the struggles that followed. Understanding this chapter helps us see the links between commerce, conquest, and the making of modern India. The echoes of this era still shape our nation today. By learning from the past, we become more informed citizens, ready to understand the world's complexities.